Bakings. After having taught your children all there is to learn or train them in the way they should go, after having told them what they need to know to guide them in their everyday interaction with other people, I get worried. I used to be scared. It went from fear to anxiety, then to worry, and I had to figure out how to get to a place of certainty or stability so I would not get worried anymore. I used to worry really about my children going out there to mix up with other people, other children, other communities wherein all the kids may not have been intentionally brought up as they have been, that their environment has not been curated to create the experience that I would want them to. My fear used to be, how will they continue to be who they are? How will they continue to hold still to their values and stand true to their identity when they're in the midst of others? Like sheep in the midst of wolves, I worried. But it hit me that I could either stay worried or find out a way to make sure that whatever tests our values have to face, whatever storms that have to come, that those values, the convictions that they have, or that being raised to have, will withstand those tests. And as always, I will not just learn and keep it to myself, right? I got you. And that's why today we'll be talking about enculturation, ensuring your family values withstand the test of time. Vacant, don't be selfish. Bring in your friends and your loved ones. Bring them in here so that they will share in this conversation. Yeah, you're not just raising children who will be in a bubble and live in your home alone. They are going to interact with other people. So if you have neighbors or friends or loved ones, classmates, grocery shopping mates, bring them in here. It doesn't cost a thing. It would only take a bit of your time. And I feel like it is a great gift to give someone, right? Bring them in here by sharing the video so they can learn from this conversation too. I'm just going to wait a quick second because I know you are the person who does good. Have you done that already? Mucho gracias. Thank you so much. Let's dive right in. I was going to find a way to chunk in all of the definitions in my head, but I didn't want to drop a bit, so I'm just going to read you through the beginning so that you get the context, the mindset from which this was birthed. The word enculturation originates from the combination of the prefix "en", meaning to cause to be or to put into, and the term culture, which means refinement or cultivation. The term reflects the process of individuals being immersed in and adopting the cultural practices and values of their society or community. Now, enculturation is a term that has been used largely in anthropology and the social sciences. It just tells us about how learning experiences or cultural norms and behaviors are learned and instilled or passed on, especially through childhood or during childhood. In this context, we'll be talking about enculturation as a process through which families transmit and instill their core values, beliefs, customs, and behaviors in their children. It involves actively shaping a child's understanding of their cultural identity, guiding their social interactions, and equipping them to navigate external influences while maintaining a strong connection to their family's principles. Enculturation ensures that these values are internalized and carried forward, adapting to changing circumstances while remaining rooted in the family's legacy. Forget about all the drama, all the pomp and pageantry. Let's get right to it. Now, when you were talked about cultural identity, right? We talked about the language and how it shapes our perception and forges our experiences. Now, enculturation, you have now imbibed your core values in your children, or you are trying to, but you are scared that, okay, after having started the process or now that you are into it, how would you make sure that your children do not go out there and they're exposed to other kids, and then it becomes a struggle rather when, For instance, in my home, there are some songs they are not allowed to listen to. What I told them was, you're going to be 18 someday, a full fledged adult, according to the legal setup in my country, Nigeria. You're going to be an adult, and I'm going to give you back the reins, the keys to your life then, when I'm sure that you're mature enough to make decisions that you can legally be responsible or prosecuted for, right? Before then, can you trust me to drive this car well? Can I at least win your trust every single day? I'm not saying trust me for 10 years. I'm just saying trust me today. And please allow me make mistakes, because I've never been a parent, right? Even if I've been a parent to your older one, I've never been a parent to you, because you are unique, right? The law of relativity. At the end of the day, that has helped us really a lot in making some decisions as we travel. Decisions I still have to check in with them, especially the ones that, okay, that are not set on stone or are not life and death, so that they would at least feel like they are involved in the processes and that you're not dumping stuff on them. Now, because of that, because you have left me in charge of your life till you are a full-fledged adult that can take back the reins, you are not allowed to listen to some certain songs. The reason is that some are vulgar, some songs are not censored, and then I feel like they are a portal, they're a gateway to a lot of things. There are some songs that objectify the feminine body and make us look like we are tools to be used for whatever purposes the males or other people deem fit. So how can I begin to explain such songs or such roles or character or the persona of some women in such songs? How can I begin to explain that to my daughters? I'm raising all three like you. I'm raising three like you all already know. So because of that, I am sorry you are not allowed to. I not only tell you what you're not allowed to listen to, I tell you why. And then you get to ask me questions so that I can clarify it. Correct? Now they go to the school or they go for parties and then these songs are playing. Mommy, why are other people allowed to listen to these songs and we are not? I simply tell them our fight is different. We all are on a journey. Our destinations are different. Yes, our paths may be similar, but that doesn't mean we're headed into the same direction. Sometimes it's a hustle because at the end of the day, they are kids. They don't want to feel left out. But other times they just get it and you know what? It's not a big deal after all. But yeah, there are some cool songs that you can still vibe to, you can dance to, and then not lose your moral standing while at it. But then that's a story for another day. So in those moments where your values are going to be tested, because you'll be kidding yourself if you feel like you're just going to tell them it's A, B, and C, and then there won't be counter opinions that would challenge what you've taught them. It is through those challenges that your values will withstand the tests of time. Some may fall through the cracks, and that's why you have to be present to always reiterate, to reteach whatever you have taught before. And that's why you are here today, so that you would know how to keep them guarded, because you don't want to raise children who are like a city without walls. Such a city will be prone to attacks, will be prone to every vile thing you can think about, because there's no God, there's no shield. The first on my list would be to define your core values. Identify what those values are and articulate them. It is not just enough to leave it to suspicion, right? You're going to have to tell them what the values are after identifying them. Now, understand something. Your values were born from your experiences, yeah? From the way you were built up, your script that is always playing even without you knowing, your programming. It's very possible that five of us can be raised in the same home and we do not exactly share the same values. At the end of the day, like I said, life will challenge what you thought and will make you check again. Is this value? What's this conviction? Is it still serving me? Do I have to change or edit or adapt it? So you're going to identify what the values are and then be okay with them, modifying it to suit their own narrative or persona. Now, if you have raised them well, if you have inculcated adequate skills to critical thinking, consequential thinking, problem solving, decision making, you will trust that they will now adapt a version that would suit them better, that will suit the current reality better, and you will be okay with it, or you'll be supportive enough to, okay, have them learn. Because if you flush down your every value through their truth, they'll just be living, you will be living vicariously through them. They'll be doing things because they want to please you. They'll be doing it because you said so, not because they believe in it. They are not convinced. It is your conviction. You are meant to guide, not to force. You're meant to teach, right? Not to bully them into doing stuff. You see, that's why a lot of skills come to play when it comes to teaching one thing. You cannot build without having laid a foundation. Now you identify, then you articulate. For me, we have our family values made into a canvas and put up in our home so that when we started teaching them about values, they would see it every day to foster a remembrance or recollection. Our family values, our mission statement, and then our tagline, we are blessed to be a blessing. That, in our opinion, was to make them grounded. So you will not feel like, do you know who I am? Do you know you're nothing? You're no one, if not for the providence or provision of God. So all good things you have is meant to be a blessing to others. You are a channel through which God is doing a lot. So don't get cocky because God has blessed you. Remember, you're just a custodian of the talents, of the giftings, of the skills, of the resources that you have. After having defined them, the next one is to create a family statement, right? Develop a document that outlines these. Like I said, we have that, and then we had to put it up on the wall so that they will be seeing it every single time. It is not just enough to frame it and put it on the wall. It's not just enough to say it. Some people have them written on their throw pillows and then they're in their sitting room. You can be very creative about it. The idea is for them to see it every day, all right? Because if you continue to see it, you continue to hear it, you are creating permanence in their minds. You must model these values, because how else will they learn it if they don't see you do it? We always say it here in the Laurie Brand podcast. Monkey sees, monkey does. You cannot say you have honor as your family value and then you treat your domestic staff, for instance, like crap. You are insulting, you talk down at them, and then you are actually very rude. You must practice what you preach or you be a hypocrite. And then they are learning to. Then most importantly, you are scripting their own identity. You are programming them for how they have to behave. You see, if you are intentional and deliberate about raising your children right now, they will have, instead of spending years, time, energy, resources on learning negative or faulty programming, they would now spend that much energy consolidating, building up on the good ones. Old habits that I had, how about you model good ones to your children? You must lead by example. That's how you model. And then you must stay consistent. Don't be hot today and cold tomorrow. Don't be dilly-dally about everything, all right? Don't be they made me do it today. I was very tired, that's why. Hello, you must learn to be stable. Emotional stability and mastery, emotional resilience or toughness or mental toughness, all the skills will help you to be consistent in modeling those values to your children. You must be open in communication by encouraging dialogue and discussing real life scenarios or situations. How do you encourage dialogue? Create a safe space for discussing your values, and then be open to answering questions, because they too will want to challenge why you have a mindset. Why do you believe this thing is like this? They will ask you questions. Mommy, why don't we wear crop tops, for instance, because I said so, it's not going to cut it, because we are very ignorant parents raising highly knowledgeable children. At the end of the day, you must have irrefutable proof. You must have reasons why they should do what they ought to do, because then you are also teaching them that they should not swallow everything they hear or see hook, line, and sinker. They should be able to challenge what is and make sense out of it for themselves. You can also discuss real life scenarios. Okay, what has happened? What happened today? We're going to school and I saw a mom slap her son. Why did she do that? Ask questions. What do you think went wrong? What do you think they can do better? So that they would understand that these things are not just in the books, they relate to our everyday lives. There's times I teach my children and I try to make sure that I use relatable examples so that they will not just think, we're learning it to keep. You are teaching them that, okay, these things apply on a daily basis. The next way to make sure that your values are set on stone is to incorporate values into their daily lives by having routine activities and celebrating values. Routine activities, okay, I recently decided to make my, should I call it community service, little community service, for the estate guards, those that make sure that the estate is safe. I want to make sure that I honor them by making them a meal once every quarter. Right? I'm not saying it because I want to be applauded. No. I'm saying it because, of course, we are here to inspire excellence, right? That could be a way of a routine activity that will teach the value of honor to my children. Talking politely to people, no matter how angry or pissed off or aggravated I feel, every single day or every time I am faced with an altercation, is a routine way of instilling the values and making sure that they stick. All right. When you celebrate, by recognizing what they have done right. Oh, the way you spoke to that person yesterday was really very kind. It shows that you are conforming to or living by, standing by our value of honor rather. Well done. What you appreciate expands. Sometimes, instead of always being angry about the things you don't want to see, how about you reward the things you see? We all want to be validated. We all want to feel like we're doing the right thing. So when you tell your child well done, they want to do it again. They want to repeat it again. Instead of stopping them from doing the wrong things all the time, I'm about to celebrate and recognize the right thing so that appreciation is application for more. You are encouraging them to do more. The fifth way is to foster critical thinking by teaching decision making and discussing external influences. When you teach decision making, you have to tell them, of course, when you're making decisions, there are consequences. Decision making cannot be possible if consequential thinking is not taught. Right? Pattern recognition, consequential thinking, empathy too, putting yourself in other people's shoes. And to learn a lot more about this, our content on Instagram this month is centered around consequential thinking, empathy, pattern recognition, because this will help your children learn to make decisions. You can go on the Lori brand on Instagram and just click on our carousels, our reels. You'd be able to learn a lot about them on there, and then, of course, teach them to your children. You need to teach them to think about their decisions, right? The consequences of their decisions and the unintended consequences. I wanted to eat. I did not mean to break the plate. That was an unintended consequence. What do you do in that instance? I wanted to help that person. I didn't have the money to. I did not mean to steal, but you have stolen, right? There are consequences. That your intent was right does not make your action right. So what do you do in that instance? By discuss external influences. Of course, we've talked about positive peer pressure on this podcast. it's very, very, very important that you tell them that it's very possible to get influenced negatively, right? Let them not feel like they are immune to negative influences. You have to make them understand that a time will come where somebody would want to lure them or convince them to do something that ordinarily as a family you do not stand for. A time will come where people will mock them for standing by a certain thing. Of course, some people will mock them and call them Mother Teresa's if they are girls. Why are you being so zen? Why are you being such a good girl? Good girl, no, they pay. Good girls don't get the corner office and all. Even if that book talks about something different from what they interpret the title to mean, they are going to mock them, your boys, your sons, for being modest. Of course, on a big Jew, why you go be boy, you know, get side chick. How can you be a man and then you're not flirtatious? You see, they must be aware that people would mock them and then they should be okay with being alone in their belief, provided they know that what they are standing for is right, is correct at the end of the day or in the first place. So when you teach them, when you make them aware of the possibility of the possible ways they can be mocked, they can be trash talked down at for standing for what is right, you'll be preparing them with skills or tools or hacks to respond instead of reacting, so that they will know that these things will come and then they'll be ready for them when the time comes. Why don't you dress like this? I know that you prefer or you love showing up like this, even though it looks beautiful on it. I just do not feel comfortable wearing that. And sometimes teach them that it's okay not to even explain. You don't have to explain to everyone. Not everyone will get it even when you explain. Be okay with being judged, be okay with being mocked, be okay with being shamed, provided you are convinced that you're doing the right thing. Everybody's not your tribe. Everybody's not meant to be your friend. Those that appreciate, they say kola not last longer, and those that the mouths of those that know the value, it means that there are some people who know the value of kola nut, and there are some people who do not. Those that know the value of kola nut will buy it, will have it, will appreciate it. Those that know your value, those that recognize it, those that share similar values will find you. And when you find yourselves, of course, you will cling, you will click, and you will have to cling to each other, right? So it's okay for everybody not to get you. It's okay to not be pleasing aesthetically, politically correct to everyone. The 7,000 prophets who have not bowed to vow are out there. You are not alone. Teach them that their fight is different. Teach them not to conform to the standards of this world, rather be transformed by the renewing. Renewing is present, is continuous, continually transforming your mind, continuously learning new things that will make your mind stay sharp and clear, so that you never have to conform. Conformity comes when learning becomes obsolete, when you have become complacent and redundant. You're now so full of yourself that you feel, I know it all, what's there to learn again? With the way the world is so fast paced these days, you won't be surprised that whatever you thought you knew about a subject matter in the next 2 months would have been challenged already. With the AI, speed of light, things that used to take years to get done or checked or confirmed or researched are now done very quickly and very easily and very conveniently too. So they must constantly be learning. So you see now that as a parent, if you tell yourself that you do not like reading or you do not love to study and you pass that on to your children, you already are setting them up to fail. After having discussed or fostered critical thinking by teaching decision making and discussing external influences, the next one is to create a supportive environment. One way to do that is by supporting positive peer influence and community engagement. Another way is by community engagement to see, while there is negative peer pressure, there is also positive peer pressure. If I am with somebody who loves to set goals, who writes to-do lists, who does the right thing, guess what? I will be under pressure to do the same thing. They said that the few, I think it was Samadeyemi that said at a point that the future The present of your 5 closest friends or allies is your future. Their present is your future. So if you're around goal getters, guess what? You would automatically want to fight and push and get things done. Mr. Chris Alota, remember he was a guest here, mentioned how you should teach them to make friends with people who can be of benefit to them, who they can also be of benefit to. So for the child who has leadership skills, you should be friends with somebody who knows a bit or a thing or two about finances. In that clique, there should be one who's tech savvy. There should be one who's academically driven. In that same clique, there should be one who's spiritually grounded. That way, when your child is teaching them what they know, they are teaching him or her when a child is teaching them what he or she knows, they are teaching him what they know. And then guess what? They are all moving in the direction of their individual goals collectively. Peer pressure is a good thing. You should encourage your friends to make your children rather to make the right friends by modeling it too. You cannot have empty calories, I'm sorry, as friends, and then you expect your children to just learn from Mars or from W's how to pick friends. I watched a video on Instagram one day where a man talked about, I can't remember his name, all credit to him though. He said his grandmother taught him how to make friends. And he said if you want to make friends, he used the analogy of the hand. Cover your hand, and he did. How many fingers can your thumb cover? Barely 4. So your closest friend should not be more than 3 or 4, because that way you can cover them. Now put your thumb down and then put your fingers around them. How many fingers can cover your thumb? Maybe 3 or about 4. So at every point in time or at every season, right? If your season is for 10 years, your season for 20 years, you don't need more than 3 or 4 close friends that you can cover and that can cover you. That was profound for me. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us parents, we string a lot of people that we have no business being close with in the first place, that should have remained acquaintances, that should not even be honored or decorated with a prestigious term friend. And then when we need them or when they need us, we cannot be there for them. Yes, there are people who are gifted. They can have 10 friends at the same time. 10 close friends. I don't think I was blessed with that. I really, really love a small circle so that you would feel my impact, because life is demanding mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, right? There is even no much time to get a lot of stuff done. So if I have 10 friends, then when I say friends, I mean 10 close friends that I can hold space for, that I can be vulnerable to, that would have my back no matter what, that can stand up and stand for me, right? If I have all of them, how will I have time to share amongst them, to be there for them, and then still have time to be here and manage the Lori brand and all have various expressions, and still be a wife and still be a person, because I have personal interests too that are not related to my career expressions or my life's calling. So at the end of the day, when you stretch yourself out too thin, you will not be giving so much to those friends, and then they will not be getting so much from you. When I say giving or getting, I'm not saying financially, really. Giving of attention, giving your energy, right? And so when you model how to pick friends and how to take care of friends to your children, and the positive influence friends can have on them, and you teach that to them, you see that you'll be helping them make better decisions, and then it will be easier to stand by what is right if you're in the midst of people who share the same values. Community engagement. You can participate in community activities that reflect your values, and then you'll be reinforcing the importance outside the home. Do you go to church to join in the cleaning? Do you go for evangelism? Are they, probably if you're Catholics, what society do they belong to in the church? That way you're not just taken from the church, you're also giving back by committing not just your money, but your energy, your attention, and your time. Number 7 is to adopt and evolve. You need to revisit your values periodically. What served you 10 years ago may not really serve you anymore. So you have to go back to the drawing board. Okay, where are we right now? What values do we need to latch onto that can carry us through the season? What do we need to build upon? What is lacking? How strong are we? Okay, on honor, are we on a 9 or on a 10? Can we build it if we're on a 3? How can we move it forward to a 10? You see, these will come in handy when you are making your annual goals. You will not just be making goals from the blues that you will not be able to adhere to or keep to and fulfill. You'll actually be setting goals that you can actually work on, that you can actually commit to seeing to fruition. Because for instance, if you are very good as a family with excellence, you are good with loyalty, you are good with honesty. You've checked it and you see that honor wise, kai, we need to build up over on a 3. You can make it your goal for 2025. And if that's the only thing you achieve that year as a family, you have done so much because there's so much to learn. Like so much. You see that would even help you focus better, focus your energy, attention, and resources so that you learn. At the end of the day, because you have spent so much time interacting with that value, it will become almost second nature instead of setting unrealistic goals and feeling frustrated at the end of the year when you cannot achieve them. You visit the values and check which one do I need to build upon, which one has now become obsolete, which one do I need to replace, which one do I need to even totally dump and scrape out right now. Then this would only be possible if you are open to discussions. You must be able to discuss it as a family instead of forcing it down your children's throat. Remember that they are individuals too, and it is their future you are forging. There's the children or the future of their children too. They should have a say, right? They may not 100% grasp the extent of what you're doing right now. But as they continue to grow and get older and get wiser, they'll begin to understand, oh, is this why mommy or daddy has been behaving that way since because of this and that? Explain to them. If you're teaching them negotiation skills, you need to show them that they too can be a part of the process, right? Oh, mommy, now that we have learned about discipline, can we learn this or that? Okay, ask them what skill, what value right now are you struggling with that you want us to take on as a family and work on together? You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed, really, so that they would also, but take responsibility or ownership of that value instead of thinking they are doing it for mommy or daddy. They are doing it for themselves too, and then they'll have skin in the game because you are the one who sets this goal, right? Why are you not committing to it? Remember, you're training up the child in the way he should go so that when he's old, he will not depart from it. And when he's not departing, it means that he's passing it on as a lasting legacy because when the next generation comes through him, he would bequeath it to them. The final one on my notes is emphasize resilience. You must teach them coping strategies and reinforce the importance of integrity. You must teach them rather to be resilient and confident. Their self-esteem has to be very healthy because it takes a child who is who has a very healthy self-esteem and who is very self-confident to say no to all negative influences. A child who's self-aware, a child who's driven and motivated, right? To say no, to be firm while still fair, right? To be very assertive instead of being aggressive. I really appreciate that you'd picked me to do this with you. I sincerely am grateful that I came to mind. However, I'm sorry I cannot do that. She can leave it at that. He or she can just leave it at that. I don't owe you any explanation. At the end of the day, right? I don't have to always tell you this is why I cannot do it. That does not mean that sometimes I will not. Let me just indulge. You know what? I don't want to do it because I don't feel like it. Because it does not align with my values. While it is good to give explanations, you must also teach your children laconic wit, right? The discipline of saying less. Aside laconic wit, you must also teach them Silence is golden. Silence in itself is an answer on its own. Yeah. That's a story for another day. Probably would maybe have an episode on how to answer with silence and not be rude while at it. Let us know if you want to learn that. Just put it in the comments and then we'll have our team work something out. You must reinforce the importance of integrity. It's not going to be a walk in the park, by allowing them know that staying true to their values, by allowing them know that staying true to their values, especially in the face of adversity, is strength, they would want to learn to be strong. They would want to build muscle. Allow them room to fail, right? So that it will be a learning curve, a teachable moment, right? To reinforce what you have taught. Now, when your child lies to you, when he steals, when he does something, instead of getting mad, it is okay to actually be mad. Instead of responding, how about you appreciate the fact that you just got feedback that whatever values you taught around not stealing or not lying were not learned. For the teaching and learning process to be complete, learning has to take place. You probably taught, but learning did not take place. They probably did not understand it. So that's your feedback to go back and you know what? Check what you taught and reteach it. Probably the examples you used were obsolete, were not relatable. The language you communicated did not get through to them. You did not impress upon them the right emotion, the right information that you needed to pass across. So sometimes we think that we even get angry over our gifts. We need to look at the horse, the gift us in the mouth, and identify the kind of gift it is, appreciate it, and work with it. Man is a meaning-making machine, like Preston always said. If you do not learn to ascribe the right meaning to situations or scenarios, you'll be reacting continuously and spending and burning yourself instead of responding from a place of knowledge, a place of calm, and a place of self-awareness. All these you can teach to your children beginning now. Remember that their values will be challenged as much as yours will be challenged. And in the moment where they are not living up to expectations, they're falling below expectations, instead of losing your cool with them, see it as my work here is not done. I have to go back to the drawing board and teach again. You must learn their love language. You must learn their temperament. You must also learn the way they learn, right? If I prefer to learn with stories and you're teaching me with numbers, you've lost me. You may have done a very beautiful presentation with pie charts and graphs and numbers and biometrics, but I didn't get it. You did not speak the language I understood. You did not teach me in the way I should have understood it. So you must learn how to learn so that you'll be able to teach a fish to swim and a monkey how to climb trees. That way, you'll be doing what you ought to do, how you ought to do it. After having said all of this, understand something. They will still feel, all right? I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm not saying to say that you are raising dummies, not at all. I believe very firmly, of course, that you are raising very talented or very, very intelligent children. I'm saying that failure would be feedback or proof that they are trying, right? A child doesn't just get up and start walking at once and get it. He falls down and he starts again. And like the song says, birds don't just fly, they fall down and they get up, right? They'll fall down and then they'll get up. Be there to support them, not shame them, not tear them down, not fault them. No, don't criticize them. Take, like I said, whatever information failure has given you as feedback that you need to teach them again. Support them so that they'll know that it is okay to fail, right? So that they'll not be afraid to try. When you restrict your child from failing, you are teaching them that trying is not okay. They'll be afraid to dare. You need to teach them to dare to fail, to dare to make mistakes. Make the mistakes. Let us learn from them. Show me now that you are still under my roof and under my care that you did not get it, so that I will consolidate and reteach and build upon, so that when I launch you into the society, you will not be maladjusted. All right? Beacons, have you learned something today? Has this inspired you to stop being afraid like I was? To start building instead? Number one, to start defining your core values, modeling behavior, being open to communicating, to start incorporating values into your daily life, to foster critical thinking, to create a supportive environment, to adapt and evolve, and to emphasize resilience. People will mark you, but you have to stand for what you know and believe is true, even if you are alone. And I don't think we are ever alone, because there's someone somewhere who will share similar beliefs with you or as you, even if it is not 100 of the 100 that you believe in. All right? Your children cannot learn this from the blues. You have to teach it deliberately and intentionally. So when you learn from our episodes, go back and teach it to them, so that you'll be starting. A lot will be dying or ending with you, so that a lot will begin from you. Remember that we are legacy conscious parents, right? We are building with tomorrow in mind. We are living today with tomorrow in mind. We are setting the foundation for the better future, not just for us, but for our children and their children after them. Today we talked about enculturation, ensuring your family values withstand the test of time. If you have learned something from this episode, go ahead and share, do like and comment. And of course, we don't like being your best kept secret, right? We will not grow. We will not have the motivation to do this or more of this if you are not subscribed to the channel or sharing with your loved ones. I hope you actually did learn and you're inspired rather. If you are, take notes, keep trying, fail forward, but never stop trying. Until we meet again in our next episode of the Lori Brand Podcast. Beacons, stay excellent.